Hey, and welcome back to PN Wreckage. I'm Christian, and I wanted to shed some light on the H.I.D kit I chose, why I did, and how I feel about it today. I actually bought this kit for my 2016 Ram, which many of you know died in a tragic crash back in December, and it sat up there for 4 days while my insurance company stuck their thumb up. Anyway, so like it sat up there for 4 days, and while it sat up there, tweakers, for lack of a better word, because there isn't one, stripped the truck. I mean, they stole my all-weather floor mats, they stole my HIDs, they ripped off a bunch of ammunition I had in the truck, and things I couldn't carry down with me, and we couldn't get back up to the truck because of the snow. So, long story short, I live in a really small town, and I was able to actually get that H.I.D kit back. So I installed it on my 2017, and it's the exact same. It went in just fine. So first and foremost, this is the kit that was on my 2016. It's now on my 2017, and I purchased it in September of last year, so September of 2016. Any of you who follow this channel regularly know that I tend to do quite a bit of research before pulling the trigger on certain things, and that was no exception for my H.I.D kit. And I looked at a variety of different manufacturers and places to buy, and I really kind of settled on the definite no was eBay. Like, I didn't want to buy one from eBay. The prices were great, but I just think it's a lot of foreign-made crap, and I wanted a little bit more of a safety net because HIDs are really awesome, but they also go bad sometimes, just like any light bulb does. An HID setup can go bad as well. It can be a ballast, or it can be the bulb that does it. But regardless, I want a little bit more of a safety net. And after doing some research, I landed on Diode Dynamics, and I'll include a link in the description to show exactly what I bought. So I bought the 2016 Ram CAN bus, C-A-N-B-U-S, safe system. So it's basically their $150 HID kit with $30 worth of CAN bus adapters. It's an anti-flicker module, because everything in this truck, and in your truck too if you have one of these, is run by the CAN bus system, and that doesn't play super nice with a lot of different aftermarket electronics and things like that. So that's a necessary component if you're looking at an HID kit for your Ram, assuming you still have the CAN bus system running in your truck, and I'm guessing you probably do. So I paid $180 plus $5 shipping, and that arrived pretty quickly to my door. The installation is relatively simple. You're going to get a little bit frustrated with the tab on the back of your headlights that you need to pull down, I believe, or maybe it's push up, in order to release the headlight from the body. And there are a ton of videos where people have done a really nice job of showing what that installation process looks like and how to do it step by step, so I won't reinvent the wheel there. But here's just my opinion on these headlights. So I went with a 5000K color temperature, which is just like a pure white. I used to like the hint of blues, like 6000 or 6500K or what. I mean, every company has similar ranges, but their colors look a bit different, and that's probably just a manufacturing difference. But I went based on the reviews and the guidance by Diode Dynamics, by their website, which has like LED everything if you're interested in it. I went with a 5000K color temp, just pure white, and I thought it looked really nice and didn't look too ricery like some of the blue ones kind of do. And the other reason is that the farther away you drift from the yellow end of the spectrum, I think factory headlights are generally in the 4300K temperature range. So the lower the number, the more yellow; the higher the number, the more like blue, purple, and then ultimately pink, which I'm sure you've seen on some lowered Honda with a park bench spoiler during your driving adventures. The farther you get away from yellow, the less visible light is produced, or the less light that your eye can actually pick up. So these are 35 watt HIDs, and they create much more light than your factory halogens do. But there's a bit of a trade-off as you start going through to the blue spectrum, just in terms of how much light you're actually able to see down the road. So I didn't want any yellow, I wanted just white, and went with white, and it was great. I mean, leaps and bounds better. Night and day difference. That's not that funny, but it's a huge difference between the crappy factory halogens, and there is no excuse for RAM not installing from the factory LEDs or HIDs on higher end trucks. That should definitely be an option, and that's one of my gripes with RAM. If you've watched my 5 things I hate about this truck video, which has gotten mixed reviews to say the least. So went with those, made a huge difference. I had to re-aim my headlights just a hair. There's some argument that you really shouldn't get HIDs unless you have a projector housing, and I'm not going to go down that road. That's up to you to do your research, but it kind of scatters that really high intensity light all over the road if you don't have a projector housing to focus it and have that nice cutoff that projector headlights have. So, you know, I drive my truck a ton. I drove my 2016 a ton, and I always leave my headlights on the auto position just because it does a pretty nice job of knowing when to turn those on. It turns them on with the wipers when it starts raining, which I think is a great safety feature. And so the headlights definitely spent a significant amount of time on. And over the last probably month or so, I've noticed that the driver's side headlight in this truck is starting to sort of yellow. Just the light is becoming less white. It's slightly dimmer than the passenger side, and it's no longer matching the same color that the passenger side is, which is just that super bright white. I reached out to Diode Dynamics today by phone, and because I know they have a 3-year warranty, and wanted to see, you know, really what my options look like. And I talked to a guy named Corey and explained my problem to Corey, and basically within about 15 seconds of getting on the phone with Corey, he said, it's pretty clear you have a bulb going out, and we'll just send you a new set. I said, okay. Gave my phone number, he pulled up my account, and I got a confirmation email minutes later that a new set of bulbs is on the way. And that level of customer service and, you know, standing behind their product like that really surprised me and confirmed that I think Diode Dynamics is a great company. None of these things are perfect, and is it pretty lame that my headlights are already going out at, you know, what would it be, 9 months after I bought it? Yeah, that's kind of lame, but it happens with these systems, and they immediately corrected it, and I'm pretty impressed by that. The installation was really pretty simple. I mean, you do have to drill into the back of your sort of like a protective cover over the back of your headlights, and you do have to pull your headlights fully out of the body to get to it. Not the easiest setup. You definitely, unless you have like carny hands, aren't going to be able to get into the back of your headlights while they're still in your truck. So just be prepared for a little bit of a foray into disassembling, you know, your grille and pulling your headlights out, and that seems a little weird if you've never done anything like that before, but I think it's a totally doable mod for people who maybe aren't super mechanically inclined. I absolutely recommend these HIDs, and yeah, I've been thinking about doing this video for a long time, and really that interaction today was sort of the final straw and me no longer waiting to do that. I guess technically that was the first modification I did to this truck, so that was modification 0, and then the lift kit or the leveling kit is modification 1, so maybe I'll have to edit that title. As you're going through the research process, as you're perusing websites, you might decide that you don't want any halogen lamps on your truck anymore, and I definitely get where you're coming from with that. But I just wanted to, I guess, give a couple pieces of advice about potential problems you can run into depending on what you choose for different applications. So the first is HIDs have a ballast, and that's why when you first turn them on, they're generally super blue, and they start fading up to white. They start out pretty dim, and they come up to temperature pretty quickly and start producing the light spectrum that they should and the brightness that they should. You probably don't want those for your high beams, because especially with the automatic high beams, I mean, it can go on and off so many times that word on the streets is it's kind of bad. It's hard on your ballast to have it repeatedly going on and off and on and off and on and off. So you may, if you're dead set on replacing your halogen bulbs, you may want to consider an LED setup depending on how the reviews look for those, because that can go on and off a million times and it doesn't matter. On the note of LEDs, if you live in an area with a cold climate and you're thinking about using those for your just low beams, remember that LEDs produce very little heat, and that's a good thing because they're super efficient in producing a lot of light with a little bit of, with a relatively minor amount of power. But if you have temperatures below freezing, or if you travel in places where there are temperatures below freezing, LEDs do not produce enough heat in general to be able to melt or prevent ice from forming on your headlights, or snow from accumulating on it, or whatever the case is. So while I think that's a pretty good idea for a high beam, just because it can go on and off without injuring it or without damaging it, well, it can go on and off repeatedly, it doesn't produce enough heat to melt ice off your headlights, and that can become a safety issue. So just something to remember as you're going through, and if you end up getting a kit, or if you've had a different experience that you think is super positive, please list that in the comment section as well. So again, nothing bad to say about Diode Dynamics. You're going to pay a little bit of money for their kit. It's definitely not the most expensive kit out there, and with the level of customer service you get, I see no downsides. I would really encourage you to stay away from purchasing something that's that critical to your safety on eBay, because you only have 2 of them, and if something happens, if it's just a cheaply made part and it goes out, you're not in a good place to be able to make it safely home, or whatever the case is. So it's not something you can change super quickly. That is definitely a downside, but it's nothing that is a change from the factory setup. You'll still have to pull your headlight housing out, and that is a pain, but again, it's not too bad. If you have questions about this, please list them in the comment section. Send me an email at pnwreckage@gmail.com if you're bashful and don't want to ask your question in public. But you're safe here, it's okay. And you can also follow me on Instagram, and my username is pnwreckage. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next one.